things to you that have never been done before.
We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route to do. We the people are free. And I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited.
Well, g'day folks, how are you? Hope you're doing well and life, the universe and everything is treating you just as it should, hopefully. Beautiful sort of a day today. In my part of the world, I hope it has been in yours and the week has kicked off with a smile on your face. We're going to talk to Wade Nordhausen very shortly from Billboard Battalion. Just wanted to congratulate everybody who got out and about yesterday for the March for Australia. It was so brilliantly well attended around many places in the country. Numbers were a little down in Adelaide, I heard, but Melbourne had a great rollout. So too did Sydney. And then Brisbane, well, I think Brisbane was the showcase of the whole thing. Bob Catter got up and had a speech as well. A lot of my mates turned up there. There's one of them right there up front. Good on you, Keefe. There is a ton of support for Gerard Rennick in Queensland at the moment too, although the question that I would have regarding any return of Gerard Rennick and the People First Party is where are you going to put him? There aren't too many Senate seats available, and clearly Pauline Hanson is the next Queensland Senator in One Nation up for re-election. So is he going to run against her, or would Gerard run in a lower house seat? That would be the question I think that needs to be asked all around. This is Brisbane. Great shots there of a crowd. About 20,000 people in and around Brisbane turned up what was a huge march from the city area down around over the Victoria Street Bridge and over to South Bank. Absolutely wonderful crowd. And I do want to play one message that was recorded at this event. There are some of these pictures could be coming from different areas too. Thank you, Greg Wapler. I think this is the sunny coast. Oh no, that's Brizzy. Pictures there. So thanks, Wapler, for throwing us a few pictures. I really appreciate that. And just before I bring Wade in, I just want to play something that was recorded at the event yesterday by Shallow Chal, the organizer. Have a look at this.
Dear President Trump, my name is Scott Challen and I'm standing in front of thousands of Australians here. Let me hear you guys. Mr. President Trump, with all the heartfelt respect in the world as the greatest ally of the US, Australia, we think you're awesome, and we know you've done an amazing job to close your borders, make your country safe, and make America great again. We know that you're meeting with our Prime Minister, Mr. Albanese, on Tuesday the 20th. And we want you to please encourage Mr. Prime Minister Albanese to shut the gates. President Trump, did you know that Australia has more international students than the US and you have 10 times our population? What? What the heck? We can't believe that. Australia doesn't have a sovereign border. We let in anyone pretty much from anywhere around the world, and we want to shut the gates to give Australians a future. You are our greatest ally. We believe in you, America. We know that you believe in us, and we know that together these two great democracies can change the world. We stand with America, and we want America to stand with us. Let's go, Australia!
Support out for Brisbane, and hopefully President Trump will see that in the next few hours. Albo Sleazy will be making his way to the White House. He got off his holiday yesterday. Where was his holiday? Well, it was a beautiful little holiday. He and the missus, or the missus-to-be, decided they would have a beautiful holiday in Micronesia, a lovely little place called Palau. Now, have you ever heard of Palau? Do you know much about Palau? Well, let me tell you a little bit about it. They flew there from the once-a-week subsidised service out of Brisbane that Qantas put on. But Palau is about 1,200 kilometres from Guam. Just saying. 1,200 kilometres from Guam. It is less than the flight time from Melbourne to the Sunshine Coast, and could be made by any number of American aircraft. Just saying, weird things could happen. I'm just wondering whether or not they might have switched him out. That might not have been the case, but great to see so many Australians getting out and celebrating it across the weekend. Today, a really, really good video was released by Wade Nordhausen from Billboard Battalion. It came out, I saw it late this afternoon and immediately rang him to say, hey, listen, awesome video, let's talk about it tonight. It is a very important matter that needs to be discussed. It's been something that's been on my mind, and I guess I'm certainly at fault to a certain degree, but I thought we'd get him on tonight and we'll have a good talk about it. So Wade Nordhausen from Billboard Battalion, thank you for taking time out of your Monday night and joining me, mate.
Good day, Carl. How are you, mate?
Mate, pushing on. Can't ask for more. So you've drawn a bow today, and you've taken aim at the freedom movement in general, but the more directly the podcasters, if you like, those alt media types, and I would be amongst that pile, because you don't, and I think quite rightly, you believe what we are doing and what many of us are doing is not really doing anything. Is that right?
Yeah. If for anybody who looks on Billboard Battalion, Carl, we've got a photo there of the Missouri firing all its guns, and that's where I believe we need to be. That's how I operate, and I can tell you right now that we've been in this battle. Only the freedom movement has been in this battle for around about 5 years now. And we have got absolutely nowhere. We haven't got anywhere at all. And what we have is we have our enemies tell us in print, they speak it, they tell us exactly what they're up to, what they're going to do to us. And the freedom movement, just as one element of Australia, has achieved absolutely jack in fighting back or keeping our people safe. And a massive big part of that problem, why that is absolutely disastrous, because the people who have popped up, and whether you call them leaders or influencers or whatever the hell they're supposed to be, will not fire a shot. So we're on the Missouri firing 16-inch rounds, and they're sitting there with a pop gun in a rowboat. And this is about where we're at. So if we're going to win this, we need to make the people of Australia and expand that to massively more reach than just the freedom movement. But we have to tell people where it's at. We've got to tell people how dangerous and serious this situation is. And if you have a very deadly, very powerful threat coming at you, and you don't treat that with respect and you just laugh about it, or you go, oh, nothing to worry about here, then you're going to pay the price. And I feel, I think we're possibly a bit too far gone now, and we are going to pay the price. And it's time to call out people in a last-minute ditch, a charge of Bathsheba moment, to say, well, we need to get our head in the game, and we need to start making everybody aware of what's going on. And all these podcasters and so on, for people who may not have seen the video today, I believe we've got some problems, and you may even have some shots out there. I'm not sure, Carl.
I haven't pulled any out. I could probably play chunks out of the video live, but for people who haven't seen it, there is a link in the description. It'll take you to the Billboard Battalion. I think I got it off Rumble, but it might be the YouTube channel. I'm not quite sure. And have a look at it. It's I don't know. It's only 15 minutes long or thereabouts, a bit longer maybe, but a really well put together statement. And you've named names. You haven't been shy about doing so. We have a number of people in the movement who do various different things. There is people who go around and gather stories. There are people who go around and tell stories, and there are people who go around and gather the stories that others are telling and retell those stories. I guess a lot of these people are amateurs. A lot of these people have put themselves in the position of being the one to find the news or to tell the story or whatever it is. It's clearly not enough. Do you have a suggestion as to what more we can all do?
So I think the first thing that we need to do is to get whoever we can together, some of the people who have the platforms to get information out to the rest of us, right? I think that, and I touched on this a while ago, to put together some sort of a summit where we say, right, let's have an assessment of where we are at. Let's have an assessment of what we've done so far and what has worked or what hasn't worked. And, I know we get old Jody Lowe's on there always prattled on about spreadsheets.
Yeah.
And I think that, that's what needs to happen. But we need to have a spreadsheet that is actually going to honestly assess the facts. And that's some of the first things that need to happen. And we need to have people who will not pull their punches. We need to cross the virtual line in the sand and say, right, well, we're just going full bottle, all guns blazing on the truth about what the WEF's done, the UN's done, and the WHO's done, and where this is going to end up. And we need to, sorry, Carl, in part of that, we need to start saying, right, this bit here doesn't work, so dump that. That bit there is crap. Get rid of that. This bit over here is leading people down the garden path. Get rid of that. Let's see what we've got left that has any firepower and any capacity to fight back.
So you brought up the WEF and the WHO particularly. So we have battled in the last 12, 18 months against the WHO and this new control document that they've wanted member nations to sign, which Australia has signed up to. It essentially allows them to have complete control of the next pandemic and how it would be rolled out across Australia. Now, there was plenty of opposition against that. I can't find anybody in Australia, an average person who wanted to sign up to that. And yet that was made very, very clear to the politicians. A number of them went into bat. Malcolm Roberts and others went into bat against it. Antic and, all the good politicians, let's say in inverted commas. And yet it was just ignored, blasted through by the bastards that currently sit in the government side and their green and teal cohorts. And the Liberals and the Nationals at different times have screwed the people. So I understand people like you, like me, like Guru, like Michael, like others can do more, but what do we do in the face of the government that just says, stuff you?
So, and that's an excellent question, and that goes right to the very heart of what I'm talking about. And the first thing to say about that, Carl, is we have all these so-called commentators and people who just want to report this and report that and some other bloody thing. What we need to do is everybody that has a platform say this was always going to happen because the government, whether it's the left or right, they are working for the WEF and the WHO and the UN. Now, this is one of my primary beefs, is that nobody will say that. We get all these stupid people who go, oh, look, I don't know why they're doing this. Oh, I don't know what they're doing. So at the end of the day, hang on, I'm just reading something there. Yep, and I'll deal with that in a second, Robin. So we've got a whole heap of people who continually, and I'm going back 40 years ago when we first started getting into the agri-politics of it. These dumb people who say, oh, don't these politicians understand how much damage they're doing? or, oh, look, I really don't understand why they're doing this. Like, what the hell is wrong with you? So part of our problem is that the people who do the podcast and so on, like I'm talking about, they don't say what I just said. They let people run with that. Instead of pulling them up and saying, right, this has happened. We've signed up to the international health regulations, which is what the World Health Organization wants, because the government works for them now. They don't work for you. You know, equally, you had a bloke on there before talking about the rally in Brisbane.
Yeah.
And saying, you know, oh, we want Trump to tell Albanese to shut the gate. So, I mean, all the March for Australia rallies that have been going on, can you tell me one of the speakers at all who said this immigration problem we have is by design? The government is working for the international terrorist organisations, and they are deliberately swamping Australia with people who have very, very diametrically opposed ideas to us. They are, in some cases, not all, but in some cases, they are extreme violent operators, and they have already said their plan is to wipe out Australia. Now, how many of the people have got the guts or the intelligence to stand up in these rallies and say that stuff? Because that is where it needs to be. And if you don't lead from the front, you know, so I've had an absolute guts full of people who turn around and say, oh, look, you know, I don't know why this is happening. Doesn't the government understand? We've got to get the government to do this. Tell people the truth for a start. And if we all get on the same page, then that message then will resonate out into the general community, which is where this needs to be.
Do you think the general community gives a shit? Because I've come across so many normies, and I'm sure we've all had this, where you can try and explain, you know, the WHO bastardization that they try and get over us, or any other of the control methods that they're introducing from digital ID on, and people just don't seem to care. All right, the government will do what the government does.
So a couple of things about that. Firstly, I want to go back to Robin Courage is the cure. She put a thing up there just before. And so when I did talk to people about having a Freedom Summit, yes, there were a small handful who said they'd love to do that. And Robin from Courage from the Cure, Courage is the Cure. You know, she was really brilliant. She said, yes, I'd be involved in that. But there were a lot who were vitriolic against the idea, very, very condemning, abusive, the whole deal. So a big thanks to Robin, who did actually say that she'd be a part of that. So, you know, I want to acknowledge that.
Well, you and I had a conversation in Echuca while I was on the road with Vince, I think or just before Christmas last year, we met up. And we were talking about a summit or that sort of an idea then, and we were talking about locations and places to have it. We're trying to pick somewhere in the middle of the country to make it a bit easier to get people to get to it. I went my way and asked a few questions. You obviously went a bit harder your way and asked a few questions your way too, but I got the same reaction. A great deal of apathy from people who claim to be leaders in the movement, or a great deal of skepticism, or a great deal of, what are you up to? What are you trying to steal from me? What am I going to lose by doing this? Do you think that ego is going to be the biggest downfall in trying to get something like this happening?
Look, there's a couple of things in play. Ego is certainly one of them. I think some people have, as Nancy Pelosi from the US always used to say, never let a crisis go to waste. So I think that there's some people who have seen this as the whole COVID thing and the creation of the freedom movement. I think they've seen this as an opportunity for them to make themselves into celebrities. I think they've taken it as an opportunity to go, oh, look, I'm known. Everybody knows my name. I've got all these clicks. I've got all these views. I'm now being able to turn this into a business where I make a living. You know, there's there's a one bloke I know, and in particular, I think he's sort of travelled around and did a lot of interviews with a lot of people, and I think that he's more interested in being a celebrity than actually giving us stuff about anybody. But the other part of that is there is a social hierarchical kind of structure, and we get a lot of people, and I've experienced this for many, many years. We get a lot of people who do not want to be ridiculed by the knobs or the toffs or the people who think they're a bit better than everyone else in the community. And I'm telling you, this is probably our biggest problem. If you see people who won't back what I'm doing, they don't even reference anything that I say other than to ridicule it. Therefore, and I can tell you right now that I've copped a hell of a lot of ridicule over the time, particularly online. But we ran into a particular scumbag parasite, a bloke the other day at the Elmore Field Days here in Victoria. And anyway, he puts up a lot of stuff over the time and, trying to ridicule me and so on. So I fronted up to this scumbag and I said to him, righto, I'll give you an opportunity. I'll interview you on our platform and you tell the world what you're using to back up your comments and your ridicule. Anyway, immediately ordered us off the site.
Yep.
Oh, I'm not getting into that. You can get stuff, blah, blah, blah. No, off you go. Get lost. Go on, off you go. So these are the sort of gutless, spineless pieces of crap who we deal with.
Yeah.
So,
unfortunately, they are deeply sown in the regional communities of this country. You and I have travelled to a great many country places in our buses. And we have come across, I know I have, I'm sure you have at different times too. We've come across resistance from some old locals in towns at times who can be, quite spiteful, quite full of vitriol and acid, which makes me think they might be a member of a secret society or something and are feeling a bit threatened. But those members in those communities hold a lot of sway. You and I are only there a day or two or a night, but they're there all day, every day. Do you think that there is a certain element in the community of, well, not fear exactly, but I just don't want to have to deal with that kind of shit?
Absolutely. Yes, there is, because I don't know if you remember when you're in grade 6 at school, you were the king of the castle. And then you went to high school and you were at the bottom run again. So you were a nothing. And there's a lot of people in our community who, whether they're successful in business, they might be successful sportsmen or women, their parents or that may have had a lot of money. They might own a number of farms, blah, 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 all the rest of that crap. Well, these people they don't want to lose the respect that they have in the community by actually showing some intelligence, by showing some leadership, and actually getting outside their comfort zone, these gutless parasites. And I can tell you, I can name plenty of people who fit into that category since years and years and years ago. And when I was tied up with the North-South pipeline here in Victoria, the protests against that, and the protests against the Murray-Darling Basin plan, we could have beaten them. We could have beaten the government. But so many of the other group leaders were pathetic. They were weak. They would not stand up and fight. And every time I said we need to do something, they'd come back, oh, listen, we can't say that, Wade, because we don't want to lose people. We don't want to put people off, And some of these people, they had millions and millions of dollars and huge capacity to actually nail this. So at the end of the day, this is a big part of our problem. and this is what I am concerned about. We're dealing with the so-called freedom movement. And if we had the freedom movement, you mentioned before, Carl, about people who say, oh, she'll be right, they're too apathetic, they can't be bothered. And now this goes to the very crux of what I'm talking about. They're saying that because people don't sound the alarm. You know, and I talked about people like Topher, Hoodie, John Larder, a couple others, Jody Lowe, Rod Cullerton, and a few others like this. They will not ring the alarm bell. And if you do that, one stirs up another, and then that stirs up another, because people are really as dumb as, anyway, they are sheep, right? And they will follow the sheep. But none of them want to stick their neck out to start with. So if we started to see more and more people going, well, what Wade's saying here, this is where it's at, and more people did, then we could encourage more people to come on board. But as it is, the P-Week people who are supposedly, I don't know, leaders of the freedom movement or leaders of the agricultural movement or the trade union movement, they're all as gutless as each other, in my opinion. And that's why we're getting our backsides handed to us on a plate. Well, the rubber's hitting the road. The digital ID stuff's coming in very soon. They'll follow that up with all the digital currency. They'll follow that up then with the carbon currency, and then the lockdowns come. So these people, they're about to crash and burn, mate. They're about to have a head-on collision with a 10-foot thick through red gum tree, and there's just going to be bodies everywhere. So
when that happens, Wade, there's going to be blokes like you and me and many of the people watching yours, Billboard Battalion channels and the Voice of Freedom and the other channels, who will be ready for it to an extent. I don't think anybody is prepared for the full extent of what's coming our way. You mentioned in your video that none of us are really speaking about the downside of what is coming, I guess, and that is it's going to be very hard for a lot of people. While lots of folk are jumping up and down at the moment and celebrating the fact that silver and gold are going through the roof, it's because they have some. Now, what happens if the banks don't open tomorrow morning and all that shouting and jumping up and down you've done amongst your friends, telling them that you've got all this gold and silver to, you're going to be right when the banks close, who do you think is going to come knocking on your door? There's going to be a lot more of them than there is of us when the crunch comes. So should we be now joining together and being ready to accept these people in? Some of us can try and educate them. Some of them refuse to be educated. Some of them never will believe what's actually going on for whatever reason. How do we band together? What more can we do? Is there like you say, this summit idea where we come together and we try and find common ground? Is that where we should be?
Absolutely. Yes, because we're fighting against a government propaganda. We're fighting against their people in the mainstream media, ABC, SBS, Channel 7, 9, 10, all these scumbags. So we only have one chance left, and that is people power, and that is bringing the people together and organising in such a way as we fight as one unit. Because I'm here to tell you right now, if things end up like I am saying they're going to, and you've got people who have said, oh, look, I've been prepping and I've got food, you're going to have 10,000 people kicking your door in and killing you to take your food.
And your gold and your silver.
And I was going to say, the other thing that I'm concerned about, Carl, now I've seen a lot of high-profile entrepreneurs and so on talk about people, opportunities with the digital currency. They're idiots, total cretins. Because what I think is going to happen is something only has value if someone is prepared to buy it off you. So the point is, if the government through the and I mean the WEF and the UN and the WHO, through their digital ID and their digital currency, and once again their social credit score, if they say, Carl, listen, you haven't been too good a bloke, mate, so we're shutting down your ability to buy anything. So therefore, if that happens across the board, then gold and silver, in my opinion, and I'm not giving people financial advice, right? But in my opinion, they will shut down every other kind of currency other than their central bank digital currency, because this is what they've already told us. So I believe your gold and silver will be worthless. I believe that their capacity of surveillance will be so powerful. You won't be able to say, listen, Carl, I'll fix your bus, I'll do some mechanical repairs, and you throw me a few veggies out of your veggie patch, you know what I mean? That will be gone. So I say to people, there is no next time. And you better start damn well take this as seriously as it is, because your apathy is going to get you and your family killed. Because that's
do we need to start looking particularly at the young people, mate? We are seeing now how they are being brainwashed from as early as kindergarten into accepting this green fraud, this climate catastrophe of non-existence. And just to reinforce that, during the American shutdown, which is currently being endured by Americans, they're having the best weather they've had in years. There are no stripy skies. The clouds are gone. It is clear blue skies across their nation. And it just so happens to coincide with a government shutdown. There are these obvious kinds of things happening there, but that happens here too. We still struggle trying to convince people the difference between a contrail and a chemtrail, for God's sake, because there are people who'll fight you tooth and nail for hours to say that a contrail can last hours and hours and hours and it spreads out across the sky. These people clearly don't understand physics. But there's a lot of them. We've got an overwhelming number against us, so to speak, and we have a fractured group of spokespeople for our side of the industry, I guess, some of which who are focused on common law, which I've got to admit, I started this whole thing on Magna Carta 1215, and I've learned a huge amount from Fitz through it, and got to a point where I realised, yes, it may all be quite true, it might all be 100% workable. However, it relies on the fact that you actually have a justice arm that is not controlled, and ours is controlled. So, so good for a common law argument. And there are many people. Doris is fighting at the moment, along with a whole heap of people in Melbourne, fighting for their houses to be returned from Westpac because the fraudulent activity that's going on with Westpac and stealing properties and using the titles office and all sorts of weird stuff. But the problem is, the people who talk about this sort of stuff, I'll talk about that, Guru might talk about that sort of stuff. That's not really Michael Gray-Griffith's sort of thing. He's more into the sobs and the sorrows. Let me hear your story. And, I don't know, maybe Michael's planning on writing a movie or something, combining all these stories together at some stage. But at the moment, it's more a documentary and a documentation of how people are feeling. But as you pointed out, it's not much use to people. I don't know that I do anything that's much use to people. I get a lot of emails saying, thanks, Carl, and I'm sure you do too, for what we do. But I want to do more. And like you, I've felt hamstrung being able to do it. We have to be careful about how we try and enliven people into this too, don't we? Because sedition is not just a word.
Well, the thing about it is this, Carl, right? How we get people into something, first of all, is group, okay? It is community. It is coming together. I hear a lot of people talk about, we've got to come together and we've got to love each other and all this sort of thing. Well, let's actually put that into something useful for a start. Secondly, I said there before about spreadsheets or about a Freedom Summit. So the most important thing about that, as I just said before, is let's do an assessment of where things are at. Now, I spoke today about Rod Culleton. And, we've got the Rod Culleton and the Wayne Glues and the people such as yourself and other people in the High Court right now and different ones. They're going on about the Constitution. Now, I'm here to tell you that in real terms, like it or not, the Constitution is dead. Now, the people who are invading us, this is the nature of an invasion force. They don't really take any notice of your laws. Hello, like, my God, what's it going to take for people who bang on about this common law stuff and are all about the Constitution? That is over. So the most important thing now is fight to stay alive. And then possibly, if we win that battle, which I seriously doubt we're going to, we would then have a possible opportunity to reinstate our Constitution. But at the minute, the invasion force that we're facing, which is winning, I'm here to tell you, by a million miles, they are called the New World Order, the one world government, where Australia doesn't rate. There is no Australia. You don't have a sovereign nation. You don't have a sovereign state. And I mean, I've been doing this for so long and we're constantly being undermined and sabotaged, probably not deliberately, but by so many of these stupid people who keep crapping on about the Constitution and common law. I mean, get your head out of your collective backsides and actually come up to speed with where things are at. And I constantly say, Carl, when Hitler and the Nazis rolled the tanks through the forest into Belgium, they did not get to the Belgium border and then say, oh, hang on, stop, hold, everybody stop. Belgium has a constitution. That's it. Everybody turn the Tiger tanks around, head back to Berlin.
Yeah.
People must be brain dead and three-quarters stupid if they think that is going to make any difference. Like, come up to speed with the real battle, for God's sake. Otherwise, you've signed your own death warrant and that of your families and our country because you're wasting critical resources on that crap, and you are being a diversion and you're splitting our forces. We've got so many different people say to me, Carl, oh, look, Wade, I really don't know what to believe. I hear you say this and Carl says something and Rod Culleton says something and Michael Griffith says another thing. Jody Lowe says something different, Hoodie and the rest of them, and God knows what. So they say, oh, I just throw my hands up. I'm just so confused. I just don't do anything now. I just go back. There's our problem right there.
Yep.
We are creating our own destruction, and the government are laughing their guts out at us.
I think you're 100% right. You've nailed it. Maybe what we need is a weekly coming together on an independent sort of platform. I'm talking to you now, Vince, where we can have a round table where we can have 6 or 8 or 10 of us sitting around virtually and having this discussion. Whether that's live or a recorded thing, I don't know. Some people might hold back if it was a live stream. I've found that people generally, but more particularly in the freedom movement in this space that we're talking about, are not as fully open and honest as they preach. And you mentioned and touched on this a bit yourself today. A lot of people say a great many things about lifting your vibration and being positive, and it's all about the vibe, but their actions do not meet their words. So how do we make their actions meet their words when clearly they've got used to doing what they're doing now for the last 5 years? We've all got used to doing what we're doing. We might have to step out of our comfort zone. I'm up. I put my hand up for that now straight away, but I wonder how many others will.
Well, I think the most important thing, Carl, is that we call them out. Because this is the 59th minute of the 11th hour. It's almost over. We've got the E-Commissioner, the E-Safety dragon horror-headed thing we've got there as the E-Safety Commissioner, saying now they're going to start banning this and banning that. This is almost over. So even the stupid people who refuse to take notice of what I'm saying, you're going to work out all of a sudden that you're not allowed to post anything, that your time has expired. That's exactly the same as England and in some parts of Canada. You say anything online, the cops will come after you and you'll end up doing 2 or 3 years in jail where you'll most likely die. And in England, they're going after people talking in the street for having an English flag in England. Can you believe this crap? Well, I mean, at what point do the Australians look at that and go, Houston, we've got a major problem here, and this is coming to Australia, and yet we've got a lot of these stupid commentators, they just tell you about it instead of going, maybe we could have a problem here. Maybe we should try and help to fight it instead of just sitting on the side, picking up some sort of, paycheck, donations, sell their merch, do whatever they do, and convince themselves in their own brain that it's all good. Let's just be all lovey-dovey and whatever, and let's just do a lot of praying, because hell, that's worked out so well for people over the generations. I'm pretty sure the people in Auschwitz were heading to the gas chambers. I'm pretty sure they did a lot of praying. We're going down that path literally, and praying, although some people might think it's good, and well done to them, it ain't going to cut it, mate. I'm here to tell you, and I'm about to light up on this whole religious thing, because around the world, we've got, if you take the, how many people preach about the Christians and all this stuff? Well, I'm telling you right now, around the world, the Christian society has the power to beat this, and they just don't. And I'm telling you why, because so many of their so-called, what do you call them, popes and bishops and cardinals and priests and all the rest of this, dumb people down. Exactly the same as what a lot of our commentators do. They dumb people down. So therefore, I've got no time for that crap anymore. As far as I'm concerned, it's get into this religious stuff, liven these people up. I can remember when I went to school, there was an old priest used to come along there. What was his name? I can't think now. Reverend Hovenden. I don't know what his first name was. And I'm only talking about in primary school, right? And I can remember he had this old book, and there was a song in that called "Onward, Christian Soldiers."
Oh, yes.
And I think to myself, I said this to Belinda today. I had a conversation with 2 women up in Canberra, and I said to Belinda, I remember this stuff. We need to rattle up these. Got to rile up these Christians. We've got to get them up and pumping, mate, because they've been dumbed down. They're absolutely useless in terms of fighting for their life and their freedoms. So many Christian people are just amazing. They help people as much as they possibly can, but they won't fight. So therefore,
won't themselves.
That's right. I had a bit of a look at this. Thing, and it's coming back to me. It was a hymn, right? So this hymn stuff. They were talking about this Onward Christian Soldiers. And if you look
Battle
at the
Hymn
word,
of the Republic, it's called.
What's that, mate?
It's called the Battle Hymn of the Republic.
No, that's a different one, actually.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. But now this is gonna bend your spring a little bit here on me to tell you, right? What I remember of it, some of the words: onward Christian soldiers, blah blah blah, marching as to war, right? So here's what the old day Christians used to be. They used to have a crack, but what we're dealing with now is hang on, I'm just getting a few notes here from the managing director. So I did find it brilliant. Now, I've never ever in my life been into this heavy metal crap, right? But I
No.
looked up some stuff and I found this Onward Christian Soldiers heavy metal version.
Right.
And mate, it goes off. This is inspiring stuff. I looked at it and thought, well, hooly dooly, here we've got this old Christian thingo going on here, and I've never been into all that religious stuff and whatever. But I'm going to run with this, and I'm going to liven up some of these Christians and get right amongst it, because the ones that we've got, a lot of these commentators who call themselves Christians, I think they're absolutely as weak as, well, anyway, I think they are pathetic and shocking and hopeless. They go on with all their Christian stuff.
Is the one?
Jackpot, ripper.
I can't really play it all because I'll go and get myself banned. But folks, just type that in, Onward Christian Soldiers heavy metal version, into YouTube, and you will find it just there. It's just how easy it was.
What can you say? I found that today, and I just thought, yes, that's what I'm looking for. That is exactly what I'm looking for. And we're going to rattle up these hopeless bloody Christians, I'm here to tell you.
I'm pleased to hear you say that. I'm really pleased to hear you say that, because I have been saying for a month or so now that we've been working on something in the background, and it's not just a local thing, it's a global thing. But that is a march for Christianity, because when the Christians stand up, the world notices. And this needs to be done not just here in Australia, but it needs to be done around the world. And the Christians need to be woken. When you look at history and you look at what's happened in well, at least the history we've been told, it's only when the Christians stand up do things change. So people need to get back in touch a little bit with that, I think.
Well, as I said, I'm not overly a godly person or whatever, but in our tours around, I get lots and lots of Christian people come up to me and they say, we're praying for you. Our entire church is praying for Billboard Battalion. You're doing God's work and that sort of thing. Mate, I'm just a bloke from the bush. I'm just a farmer here. I'm not doing God's anything. And they say, no, you are. This is what we need, is people such as you to do X, Y, and Z. So, rightio, then let's call the troops into the battle. Let's get this thing up and pumping, because the majority of the commentators and all these so-called big mouth podcasters in the freedom movement, completely, absolutely useless. Couldn't organise a good one chicken chook farm. They just can't stand up and fight. And I know a lot of these people personally, and I have great regard for them as friends or people. But we are in dire trouble. We're in catastrophic trouble here. And so therefore, we've got to do this.
Commenting, making comments on it. I think one of the things that you said earlier is we've got too many commentators. We don't have enough people taking action.
Well, I think that the logical progression is that the commentators are the ones who should be taking action and leading the other people to take action. We've got, as I said, we've got commentators, not combatants. We've got people who want to sit on the sidelines and tell everybody about what's going on. I imagine, Carl, that you would have the same problem as not a problem, but you would have many people, because I do, and even going back right to the days of the water wars for the farmers, they'd get in contact with me and say, look, this is what you need to do. You need to do this and this and this and this. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, why aren't you doing this and this and this and this? I've already got my strategies. I've got my path. The last thing I need is more people telling me what I should be doing.
Yeah.
You need people to actually come on board and help, because like talking about the Christian thing, like I said, there's an enormous amount of money and influence in the Christian family across the world. And I think that a big part of what I have to do is to try and bring all the factions together, because we go back to old mate there who was yakking away at the Brisbane March for Australia, right?
Yep.
One of the big ticket items that we're fighting against is these Islamic people, not the rank and file, but the hardcore Islamic nucleus that is going to war against everybody else who is not Islamic. Now, at the end of the day, I hear all this crap about, this is a spiritual war, and Michael Griffith goes on this crap all the time. I wouldn't know what day it was. But however, what I say to people is this. When they came to jab you, they were men and women. They weren't spirits. The needles didn't just float through the air by themselves from a spirit. You know, the cops went and bashed people up. They weren't spirits, mate. They were real people.
Yep.
The politicians in the parliament, they were making laws, legislation, and rules. There's no spirits there, mate. They're just nasty, evil, horrendous people. So, and now people say to me, oh, yes, but it's the bad spirit that gets into them. Well, I don't care, because there's supposed to be good versus evil. So where are the people standing up who have the good spirits in them?
Yep.
Get amongst it.
And how is it they never get elected into power? You know, the people with the good spirits in them never get elected to power.
Mate, well, the people with the good spirits, as I said, these half-wits in these churches and so on, the so-called leadership, the bishops and the whoever runs the joint, they're all on this, just don't say anything, just pray a lot. Well, hell no. Do all that by absolutely no worries. But get in this battle. If you're telling me this crap about, it's written in whatever they tell me.
Revelations or whatever.
Hey, what's that?
Book of Revelations, it's coming.
Yes. Oh, this is written in Revelations. So what? Who cares? Get in the fight. They talk about the mark of the devil or the beast. Oh, that's the digital currency, or that's the digital something or other. So what? Get in the fight.
Yep.
Geez, what are we dealing with?
Yep.
So this is the fallback position of all these dopey people. They love to recite those few little three-word slogans. Mate.
Do you think, being a Victorian, and let's just get off topic slightly and go to yesterday's March for Australia rally in Melbourne, which was a very peaceful event and was complimented by the police directly by name as being not a problem at all. But there was another protest, and an anti-protest, if you like, that took place. That was run predominantly by Aboriginals, and it turned into quite a shit fight. Now, the police have come out yesterday afternoon. The commission, or one of the commanders, has come out and been quite vocal in his disgust at what was being thrown at police and yada 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 yada. Are we seeing a change in the Victorian police force attitudes, given that they named the left as the antagonisers, the left as the extremists, and not those people gathered waving the blue flag and standing quietly in support of Australia at Parliament House yesterday in Melbourne? Victoria has a police problem. They've had a problem since the lockdowns because the police were so violent and so willing to be violent against the people who they're meant to be protecting. And I think it will take decades for the Victoria Police to recover from this. And every one of these clashes that comes together is an opportunity for them to take steps backwards. But I think that commander yesterday was able to take a step forward. And I would even go so far as to say there might even be a form of an olive branch in his statement, by at least recognising that the March for Australia, which was supposedly going to be filled with Nazis and never was, were actually the good guys yesterday.
Oh, absolutely. And I must say to Carl that I call out the shocking behaviour of Victoria Police all the time. And I'm not sure how many people saw the video, but the 22nd of September just gone, we did our second live, Billboard Battalion live from the Shrine of Remembrance in Melbourne. We did that live. We did a live on the anniversary the year before, which was the 3rd. And I must say that a lot of people say to me, "Oh, Wade, look, you're going too far. You're getting stuck into the cops." Because I say, the greatest cop killers in Victoria and Australia were the chief commissioners of police and the politicians who pushed the jab on them.
Yep.
And we are making up a lot of ground with police because no one else, not one person in Australia, says what I say. And I said to the cops back when the big marches were on in Melbourne, when they were guarding Parliament House, and I was one of the speakers on Parliament House, I'd turn around and I would speak directly to the police. I'd say, "You people being here, you are enabling the government." First of all, I said, "They forced you to take a lethal injection, which is going to kill some of you. You will know some people who it's killed. And secondly, you're helping the government to build the very system that they're going to use to kill us." And I can't tell you some of the amazing conversations that I had with many of the cops as you're sort of walking along. So I think that we've seen a big shift, and I would say nobody takes a lead in this more than me and more than Billboard Battalion in calling out what's happened with police and saying to them they need to come onto our side because they're in the gun as well. And I think that what was said yesterday was a very, very big shift. But I'm here to tell you that what that bloke said publicly on stage is what cops have been saying to me since day one. So even to the point, Carl, where when we first started doing the Billboard Battalion convoys, and I've worked very close with police for decades in all the protests I've organised with farmer stuff. I've worked side by side with police whose job it was to protect the Premier. So, and I was the go-to liaison. If anything was wrong, the cops came to me and spoke to me and I fixed it. And worked in terrifically with the Special Intelligence Unit in Vicpol in Victoria. But when we first started to do the Billboard Battalion convoys, the very first one, and every one since then, we'd have cops would come along. I'd give them a call and say, "Look, we're coming into your town to do a Billboard Battalion convoy," and inevitably they'd turn up and go, "Look, how's it all going?" and so on. And the comments that we got from Vicpol every time was, "If anybody gives you any hassles at all, you call us immediately and we will come and," well, the nice ways is that we'll fix them up.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So Victoria Police, they went bad. There's no dispute. And I call that out every time. But we need to bring them on board now because we need them to understand their families are in danger and they are going to be called on to defend our country alongside us, not
absolutely
to the government.
Not from us. Yeah, exactly right. Wade, thank you very much for coming on tonight and spending an hour with us. I know it's getting late in your part of the world and you farmers like to get out of bed early. How can people find more from Billboard Battalion? What are the best places to find you?
Well, Billboard Battalion on Facebook, www.billboardbattalion.com. We're also on all the normal socials, the Rumble, TikTok, X, all that kind of stuff. We're pretty well everywhere. So anywhere of those places will find us. Or as I said, Billboard Battalion on Facebook or on our website. That's a really great place to go because then you sort of find everything.
Okay, mate. Well, look, I've stick my hand up to support this in any way, shape or form. Whatever you need from me, just give me a call and I'm happy to get behind you in any way, shape or form to push this forward, because I think you're 100% on the money. I couldn't agree more with you. We need to be able to progress this forward. If we can gather more bodies along the way to our side, then that's fabulous. But a plan of action and a direction for us all to follow, I think, is essential. We've never won a war with a scattergun approach. And
it has to be organised. Our enemies, Carl, are completely organised. They're totally efficient. They have a plan and they've executed it. And these half-wits who say, oh, it's just got to be the freedom side, oh, we've got to be organic and we'll all fight our own. You're an idiot. You're going to be wiped out. And quite frankly, if that happens to you because you're that stupid, then, yeah, I'm not going to say the rest. But I'd just like to say a big thank you to Robin. Courage is the cure over there in Western Australia. Also, Martine Shepherd, she does an amazing job. I do a fair bit with Guru and Kaz, and there's other podcasts and that we do work with who are terrific people, and they're on the same page. But we need numbers, Carl. We need numbers. And a big thanks to you for tonight's interview as well. We really need numbers, mate. So let's see if we can pull this together, right?
Anytime, mate. If ever you want to come on and have a chat, you just pick up the phone. We can organise it any time for you. Easy done.
Thanks, National. Thanks, Carl.
Appreciate it, mate. And love to Belinda. Have a good night.
All right, mate. See ya.
See you, mate. And thank you, folks, for being with us tonight. I did have a couple of other little things that I was going to show you, but I think we've run long enough tonight, and I don't want to confuse the message. I think Wade's message is very powerful, very strong, and very correct. We do need to get off our asses. We do need to stop looking inwardly. We need to look outside. We need to put our egos to one side and come together as a group so that we can better help you and all of us in one go. If you've got ways, means, and suggestions that we could do that, you can always write to me, carl@vofhq.com, and I'll pass them on to Wade without a problem. And hopefully we can get a meeting of some kind happening, a summit, a get-together somewhere where we can all sit down around a big round table and discuss a way how we can present a united front going forward, because that is the key. And I think it'll take a little bit of inward gazing from some people, because to make that sort of a commitment to the group will mean there might be some personal financial loss along the way. You might lose a bit of focus on your marketing because you need to go and market something else that isn't about you. It's about us, we the people, and our futures. Fingers crossed we can get to that point, and we can get to that point sooner rather than later. We will get to that point by travelling down the road. We can only get on the road by putting fuel in the buses, and we could use a bit of help doing that. So, folks, you can do it by buying a lottery ticket. You'll be helping out the Good Samaritan Donkey Sanctuary, and a little bit of it will go into the bus as well for fuel or to repair the stairs, which I found out today are going to be $810 to fix. That's fun. But I managed to pull them out by myself, so who knew I could be mechanical? A lot of good things coming up this week, so keep an eye on the prices for gold and silver. Stayed pretty steady today, and I think it'll probably stay reasonably. I think it's just popped over $80 an ounce again at Ainsley, so that'll take it up to close to 82 everywhere else. If you are going to buy it cheap today. Happy Diwali to people who are celebrating Diwali, and Ainsley only closed an hour and a half ago for Diwali Day today. Big sales and huge videos again of people lined up out of buildings around city blocks to try and buy bullion today, gold and silver. Get into it, folks. It's only going up, and if you haven't been able to go online and learn a bit more about it from people who know a lot more about the gold and silver business than I do, ainsleyBullion.com.au. Have a look at the Ainsley Insights tab and listen to Chris Tipper and some of the team there who are some of the best analysts in the game, and they will give you a really good insight as to what you can expect with this market going forward in the short, medium, and long term. It's not always going to keep going up, but at the moment, folks, it's a bit difficult to find out where it's going to stop going up. There will be these little pauses, these little pushbacks like we are in at the moment, but the fuse has been lit, the bomb is ticking, and it's about to go bang. Be safe if you're heading out on the roads, folks. There's plenty of dickheads out there. Talk to you tomorrow night. Bye.
can't stand up to us, then they all might stand up.
Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life.
It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back.
Does anybody else want to stay?
Let's rock!